I want to start to address some of the audience questions. And so we'll probably kind of go across a number of subjects here as we go, because they're not all along the same lines. The first question that we have that I want to touch on is how I'm just going to read the question verbatim. How do NFTs enable to create longer term client relationships for brands? What are our possibilities? Michael, Celine.
So many long. So as you can see, as you might have seen, there are tons of brands jumping into the NFT space. And here is the question up there on the screen. How do NFTs enable to create longer term client relationships for brands? So it's actually what I just described. Things like this POAP machine. As soon as you have an NFT, you have a direct connection to the person who created it. And they don't need to know it's kind of like an email. In the early days, you get email marketing, or, you know, you got no email marketing. You just were happy to open an email. Now we get like crazy email marketing. When you own an NFT, anyone who knows you own it, they can give you something. They can give you an invitation to something. They can give you another NFT. It's not even necessarily the brand itself. It could be like, hey, I'm some guy and I want to drop something on all the people that own a Disney NFT. I can do that. So it creates a direct relationship, and it also creates a lot of cross relationships and opportunities between brands.
Yeah. Oh man, you just gave, I mean, so why isn't my Disney Plus membership an NFT? And they should be dropping me like a discount on the ticket price for the stream, right? That would be an example. That's not a real example. I just made that up, but why doesn't that exist? It
Fantastic idea. I love that. Yeah. And then they can really engage with their client.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You can lend out now your NFT to a family member in a very, on a blockchain. So it's a provable thing. Hey, I want to give it to Aunt Sally for 2 weeks while on vacation. Then you just send that to her wallet and it automatically comes back to you. Right.
Okay. That's
I have a kind of a slightly disruptive question here. If you know, when you look at somebody's LinkedIn profiles, you can see their interests, right? Some people are interested in Bill Gates and other people are interested in this, and people follow various other people, et cetera, et cetera. Could you create a parallel world and basically say everybody that has an interest in Bill Gates gets this NFT? And essentially create a total different layer of the interest and essentially pull it away and hack the whole thing and say, now we can do interesting things with everybody that's interested in Bill Gates, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, totally. I love that.
Totally could do that. Yes. Michael, see.
I was thinking of something really interesting just yesterday where like you have all these NFTs and that you were showing off the attributes that they have, all the properties. And I was thinking like there's a lot of like overlapping properties across things. So what if you made like a 3D glasses club, and now all the NFTs that have 3D glasses, it doesn't matter if you're a kaiju, a Kong, Bits, or whatever you are. Now you got the 3D glasses NFT access. And that's based on the metadata of that single property. Forget the actual NFT itself. And I thought that could be really interesting, and it's already built in, right? Hey, we're having a 3D glasses party. Anyone with 3D glasses from any of these top 10 projects come hang out.
Awesome. There's an important point I've just remembered. There was a Twitter thread, if we can find it, we'll post it, of some, I think, Michael, it came from one of the Discord channels we were in, where somebody said, as we go forward in this world, your digital self over time becomes increasingly more important than your physical self, right? And as we move to that model, like clearly our digital selves here on Zoom are more important than the flesh and bone thing sitting over here. But as we move to the metaverse, that becomes more and more obvious. The ownership of which NFTs you have, your description and characteristics of who you are, etc., is now, you have a persona out there that's operating in a particular way. As we move through this world, there are some obvious use cases like gaming and art and characteristics, community building, etc. Where do you think the next 3 years will be the richest use case for NFTs?
Man, you're saying how you have this identity in real life and this identity online, but like what makes the online identity more important is you could have 10 of them. Now you have an avatar in 10 different metaverses, and they look different depending on who your friends are or whatever. Now you're like, what's more important to you, 10 identities or one? Right?
Michael, they can also
I can't get my head around the one, so
they can also survive you after your physical body dies, which is a very interesting concept.
Well, using the same tools I was talking about, what's behind it is GPT-5, the AI generative art tools. You could actually train an AI to learn your stories. And I was with someone in a metaverse. It's a free one Facebook owns called, or Microsoft owns called Altspace. So you put on your Oculus. So yeah, it is Facebook. And I think. Anyways, yeah, and then you can go and make whatever events you want. And I just lost my train of thought. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. Let's shift gears again. We've got another question in coming from the audience. This one, as you can see there. Hi, I'm new to this. Is this conversation about the benefits for digital speculation? The question of what is an NFT, why an NFT is a credible unit of value in exchange is not evident. There's really three questions here. Let's go backwards. Why is an NFT a potentially credible unit of exchange?
Unit I guess we can go back to the bananas. It has to do with utility. So once an ecosystem's built, once the token exists in it, now that ecosystem has to create different use cases for it. So maybe I spend my banana on naming my Cyber Kong, or I have to spend it on creating a new baby where I need 2 Genesis Kongs and a certain amount of bananas to create a baby, which is part of their ecosystem. And then they have the banana machine, which lets you buy certain things. So that's like the unit of exchange. That's why I said 1 banana equals 1 banana, because it's not really valued at anything. It's just what the community values it based on its utility within the ecosystem, and that's it.
Okay. Well, in that example, the banana is actually fungible. The NFT that's generating them is not, right? Because this is fungible, right? This is a dollar bill. It is actually unique. It has a unique serial number on it, but it is effectively fungible with all other dollar bills. So you have to sort of think of it that way. So it's credible because people will accept it and give you one thing for another. It's effectively comes down to trust in a way. You trust, if I give you this dollar for something, or if you give me an part of Ethereum for something, we're okay because we've agreed that that's a viable means of exchange.
Right. Yeah. No, I'd agree more with you. I went a little out of left field there with the banana.
No worries. No, I love that. I mean, it's bananas, and we have to talk about bananas as credible means of exchange these days. Yeah.
Just on that point, I remember in our big webinar around why fiat currencies will fail and why Bitcoin can't not succeed, 2-hour extravaganza we had earlier this year, there was a really important point, which was once people start valuing their house in BTC instead of dollars, right? It's kind of game over. And what's interesting around this is we're now starting to see, I don't say that character is worth X amount of dollars. I'm saying that character is worth X ETH. And we're the base unit of account is Ethereum in this entire Ethereum world, in this NFT world for now. So we're kind of stepping very quickly through the new world. And I see why you say that. Banana is a banana. It's what you can do with that counts.
Bingo. Yeah. So let's keep picking up.
Eat it, but that's fine.
That banana might be worth $100, so it's better be a really good banana. Or $50. You think you said lately. So what is in it? Oh, sorry. Please go ahead, Michael, and then I'll grab this next part of the question.
NFT stuff from before. So I was talking about Altspace. I met this dude, and he took us through a gallery, and he showed us pictures of his life. It was like museum-sized gallery. He took me through it. I spent 2 hours with him. He shared me all these wonderful stories, beautiful art. And I was like, man, what if an AI captured this and then like lived beyond you? And that's what we were talking about before. And it just hit me like this would be so amazing. And just recently I found these NFTs. I think Mark Cuban is actually backing it. It's called, can't remember the name, but personality NFTs you can look up. They're attaching themselves to NFTs. It's like these bots attach themselves to an NFT, and then the NFT can talk and learn. And effectively it's using the GPT-5 technology to train these AIs. When you speak to it, it learns. And then if you get enough people speaking to these AIs, you can all put them all into a room, the AIs together, and they can speak to each other and train each other. And who knows what happens out of that kind of experiment. That's something that excites me.
I want to clarify something for the audience. The currently released version of GPT-3 is GPT-3 from OpenAI, which has been licensed to Microsoft and deployed in numerous products to date. You're referencing GPT-5. That would be 2 generations down the line of the GPT family. Is this the same thing, or are you talking about a different thing altogether? I just want to be clear.
Huh? Maybe I'm misquoting. Maybe the people that I know are playing with things that other people aren't. I'm not
okay.
sure.
I would love to know, because I read about GPT-4 and 5. There, it's all predicted, right, when it's going to happen. But you're talking about multi-trillion-dollar
offline for sure.
Yeah, no worries. We're talking about 1.5 trillion parameter trained models that don't technically exist yet. So, conversation for another day. The next part of this question is, and it's a throwback question. And sometimes when we do these panels, we're immersed. We talk about these things like everybody knows what we're talking about, and that's not always the case. So let's hit a basic question. Right. What is an NFT, non-fungible token? Who wants to try it? Michael, you want to try it? We'll tag team it. I've got opinions too.
You know, it just means so many things. It's everything we've been talking about. But a non-fungible token is just think about Bitcoin. Bitcoin, you don't care if you accept one Bitcoin or some other Bitcoin. It looks the same to you. It's worth the same to you. A non-fungible token, you know, my first NFT was like these horses, and they all look the same, but they're different colors. But not only are they just different colors, but they have different statistics. And that means they're different speeds, and maybe they get tired at different rates. Now my money, it isn't the same. My units of account aren't the same. And that's where non-fungible token comes from. They're all horses, but they're all unique horses with unique names, unique colors, and unique statistics. Yes. And that is my shot at it.
Something people don't realize about that example you gave is then you can actually breed them. They have genetics, and then you can output new horses. And nobody's even, this just blows people's mind when they start to realize this, like digital breeding is a thing, right? And Axie and Infinium, right? People are taking these outcomes and making these NFTs usable in multiple games. Yeah. And so now your NFT, your little horse, you can ride it in game A, and then you can go ride the horse in game B. However, it may actually have different talents in different games. It's crazy what's going on there. It's outstanding. So ultimately, the most basic answer to this question is an NFT is an actual standard by which you code the description of some digital unit. So in this case, it's a token that lives on a blockchain. So it's an ERC 721 standard, and that standard tells us how to do something in a way that is useful and that we all agree on. It's a protocol standard. Okay?
I saw a t-shirt company the other day saying we make non-fungible t-shirts, and that just means that they make custom one-off t-shirts for everyone that buys one to tailor to their size. And like that's just it's a way to understand that kind of
that
thing.
Might be disruptive to Cafe Press, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. Well, we beat that question up. Thank you to, it looks like another Michael who brought that question in. Now, Angelo, well, hang on. Looks like I don't get to pick the next question. What is this? Okay, exploring working with co-op startups with real products and virtual services in several countries. Should they use traditional currency in decision-making? What value from NFT digital playground? Okay, so should they just go ahead and use dollars or euros, or should they consider making effectively an NFT-based digital currency is what I'm kind of picking up here.
I'll let you take this one, Solano.
Who, me?
Yeah, go for it. Do you have an opinion on this one? If not, we'll probably...
I think you could do both. I think there's an obvious... I think the fun will come when you can map them and have the fungibility, like the proof of attendance then gets you something in the real world. That's where I think things will get really interesting. And I think we can get there now very, very fast, because a MetaMask wallet now gives you, can hold all these tokens, and I can easily show I have this thing, and therefore I can get into a real world event. I can collect real world things. Eric was describing last week how they created an Allstate, or is it State Farm, one of the two, insurance thing where they dropped virtual footballs all around the US, and people were picking them up and then collecting them. So there's this gamification will go into real life. It's like Pokemon Go for real, where you can get into real life and do something real. That bridging between the two, I think, will become more and more blurred as we move into this world. At some point, we'll get into, virtual augmented reality kind of stuff around this, which will take it to the next level. I don't think we're quite there yet, but I think there's a very rich carpet to unroll on just exploring access NFTs for access and rewards and the gamification of all of that, and that can be tracked really easily now with all of the stuff that's happening.
Okay, awesome. So the next one we're going to pop up is NFTs plus crypto. Could this lead us to other risks such as money laundering or funding illegal activities? This one comes up all the time, so it's really good to throw it out here. You know, guys, are people going to use this for illicit activities?
Yeah, you know, the way I answer this is like, you could use a baseball bat to play baseball, or you could use a baseball bat to slug someone to death. You know, any tool could be used in nefarious ways, and people will try to do that no matter what cool thing you're doing. So that's just sort of the way of the world, and that goes for the internet and cell phones and any, you know, how many scam calls do you get a day? Should we just get rid of cell phones? Anyways.
So I've strong views on this one. The weapon of choice for money laundering is still the US dollar bill because it's untraceable. So carrying around stacks of US dollar bills is the safest way of doing it. And it hasn't stopped money laundering anywhere. In fact, if you were tracking these stories, Wells Fargo had special windows for their Mexico branches where people stack stacks of US dollars, and the windows were made just so that you could stack X amount in there. So the banks are part of this game also when you get into the money laundering side, because they make a ton of money off it. The negative side, take what's happening in El Salvador, where they adopted Bitcoin, and all of a sudden the president of the country has a stash of 6,000 Bitcoin that are kind of anonymous, and he can do whatever he wants with them. $6 billion, sorry, worth of Bitcoin.
That was,
which
I asked a neighboring country what they thought of El Salvador, and that was the story they told me back. They're like, yeah, this is what we think of that. And I'm like, so, okay. So
there's lots of negative side, but it turns out that because these are pseudo-anonymous, not really anonymous, it's a really bad idea to do bad stuff with crypto. You can be tracked pretty quickly through wallets for the most part. So it's really, over time, it'll become harder and harder. The way I like to look at this is that, you know, when you had the California gold rush, the first people to show up were the miners to mine the gold. The second group of people to show up were the thieves to rob from the miners. Then you had Stagecoach Protection Services, Wells Fargo, etc., to protect the gold from everybody else. And we evolved that ecosystem, which you can always, the big challenge is for any technology is how do you extract the promise without the peril? And with different regulatory structures, behavioral loops, etc., we can handle that. Over time, the power of this is so explosively huge that the negative use cases become negligible and irrelevant, as we've seen.
Salim, I'm reminded of a conversation from, and it must have been a long time ago, or 2013, 14, somewhere in there, that on balance, technologies, as Michael said, you can hit someone with the bat or you can play baseball with the bat. Same thing with just about a chair. It doesn't matter. But on balance, people tend to use things for better purposes. Do you remember that study or comment or who said that?
Oh, yeah, no, this was eBay, where, you know, on eBay or Craigslist, you can just as easily do a fraudulent transaction. I can pretend to sell you my MacBook, collect $1,000 and I'm gone, or do a constructive transaction. So researchers studied in an area where you can do good or bad, what's the actual ratio? Because here you have an even playing field where you can do either way. And they studied millions of transactions, and the ratio turns out to be something like 8,000 to 1. There are 8,000 positive transactions on eBay for every fraudulent transaction. And that gives you a really positive vibe for humanity where people can do those things. The bad guys can always do bad things. And remember that our amygdala focuses on the negative. And we are 10 times more likely to pay attention to bad news than good news, which is why we joke that Fox News does so well, right? If you watch Fox News, you're going to die this week because of a terrorist coming from Mexico. If you're lucky, you'll last till next week, but then you're going to die next week, but you're going to die. Peter calls CNN the crisis news network because every bank robbery tracked in real time, streamed to 20 devices in HD. You think the world's going to go to hell, you vote on that, and then you end up with Trump. And so, but the actual reality is we're delivering massive, massive abundance to the world. And I think cryptocurrencies, NFTs, look at that game, Axie Infinity, is it?
Yep, that's we just mentioned
thousands of Filipino families are pulling themselves out of poverty by playing that game. It's a staggering phenomenon.
It's
I just wanted to add to that one of the biggest, funny enough, one of the biggest utilities that I've seen out of all these communities on Discord is people trying to help each other avoid scams. So just take that for what it's worth. That's
super cool. See, that's great, right? Because at crowdsourced, or the crowd, we're the best sensor. Nobody will ever make an AI. Well, okay, that's weird to say. Probably nobody will ever make an AI that's a better sensor than a bunch of humans, because we have the capability to sniff things out. And as long as we trust ourselves enough and then collaborate and corroborate these feelings, we can actually do something like what you're saying. That's a great idea. I hadn't heard that one.
I love how you stop yourself. You're like, do I want to be on the wrong side of history here?
Well, I'm predicting the AI won't replace us, and that might not be a great business to be in. So I'm going to take us on another question now. This one is, again, kind of a little bit of a step back, but this is asking you specifically, Michael. What kind of NFT platform are you using? I actually think it's a bit of a loaded question. There's a simple answer, and then there's what is an NFT platform? So over to you.
NFT platform, like where do I buy them? That would be what Salim was sharing earlier. OpenSea. That's just like literally a sea of NFTs. You learn how to navigate. You learn how to read through these different types of collectibles and NFT projects, and then you kind of go shopping. And that's like one platform I'm using. But each of these NFT communities are either in the process of building some sort of platform, or there is some sort of interface that you can engage with in some capacity. So there's even DeFi products built within NFT projects. That is another way I'm using these platforms.
So slightly deeper to sort of extrapolate what Angela was asking, over your shoulder, of course, I see the lizards, and this is on OpenSea. And OpenSea, if you haven't explored it, you should go look. Rarible is another such marketplace. These are marketplaces for NFTs. The NFTs actually live on blockchains like Ethereum or Polygon or others. Most blockchains now have an NFT ERC-721 compatible component. So when I think of the platform for the NFT, I'm a nerd, right? And I answer it, well,
of course,
Ethereum.
Of course, yeah. Ethereum, Solano, NFTs. Yeah, I totally missed the mark on that. I would say.
No, you're right. And the way that you said it is mostly how people think about it. All I'm saying is let's be careful and look at the rest of it as well. The platform for NFT is actually a blockchain, and there are many. Now, marketplace
question though.
Go for it.
I use Ethereum, but it's pay to play. I would say if you're using Ethereum every single day, multiple transactions, you're looking at spending over $100,000 a year. It's pay to play on Ethereum. So anyone who's looking to dabble into NFTs, who doesn't really know what they're doing, the one little piece of advice is buy what you think looks nice, that you like. Make sure you like it, because you might get stuck with it.
Yeah, that's right.
And also hang out on platforms that don't charge expensive fees. So go to Polygon, go to Solana, go to FTM, get your feet wet. You can play and not worry about $200 transaction fees, getting stuck. And then you get into the NFT, you want to play their games. Everything's a transaction. Now you spent $1,000 trying to move your NFT to something you don't even understand. So
there's no real business in high frequency trading on Ethereum at the moment, right? But look, we call Ethereum an L1 blockchain, level 1, whereas you've got like Arbitron, Polygon, and then other standalone chains like Solano you mentioned. There's Freeton out there. They all have NFT capabilities. So I wanted to just expand the answer a little bit for the folks that were asking, so that they don't think NFTs is OpenSea, right? I mean, it's a reflection of NFTs, in my opinion. It's a wonderful thing, man. I mean, just go look at it if you haven't. It's amazing. So this next question, I'm just gonna have to take a second. All right, Salim, yes. You're on mute.
Sorry, Michael. Right now, 99% of NFT stuff is on Ethereum, right?
Most of it. Yeah.
What are the next two blockchains that you are seeing that are closest to sophistication, ecosystem depth, etc.?
Yeah, that's hard for me to answer right now. I'd spend most of my time in Ethereum. But I've seen Solana really ramping up. It's definitely one of the leaders. But what's more important, I think, is the interoperability. So like Dot ecosystem is ramping up with their NFTs, and Terra, and both of those are on interoperable underlying platforms. Cosmos is underlying Terra. I think that people will be able to transfer their NFTs between blockchains eventually. So all this like expensive, like what's next? I think Ethereum's next, because you're gonna be dabbling in all this other stuff just to get your feet wet. But then before you know it, Ethereum 2.0 transaction fees aren't so crazy anymore, hopefully, and then everything's gonna move right back into Ethereum. I think they're the lead. They got the first mover advantage there in a very, very big way.
Awesome. So that was great. I'm with you, Michael. I've become somewhat convinced that Ethereum's the next Ethereum, and the rise of the L2s is going to be fascinating to watch what happens as Ethereum gets their fee structures under control with gas prices and ETH 2.0. I'm not exactly sure what's actually going to happen, but it should be very, very
everyone in a lane of interoperability, and that's what that's how you get the Ready Player One world in the metaverse stuff. Is you start with making blockchains interoperable, and that's the underlying layer, and then you can do it with the games. And now we're crossing between metaverses seamlessly, between games seamlessly, bringing our NFTs with us, having a great time. VR. Awesome.
Okay, so I'm going to do a shameless plug here. We've got a community-sourced publication called insights.openexo, and in that one, there are a number of articles written by OpenExo community members right now. Michael, I would invite you to be a guest author for that if you would wish to later, and I can connect you in. We'll put the URL down here. Go check that out, because there have been a number of articles on NFTs and DAOs and blockchains and many other related exponential technologies over there. So check out insight.openexo when you get a chance. And we'll also try to get some sort of a summary of this, and the replay of this event will be available on the video tab of that publication. So please check that out, everybody, if you would. The next question is going to be... Okay, I've been struggling with how to get this question on the screen, so I'm going to try it here. Could an NFT represent my time and exchange with strangers? What an interesting question in a way, right? So what do you guys think?
Can you ask that question once more for me?
Yes. Could an NFT, non-fungible token, represent my time and exchange, the speaking or doing or whatever, with strangers?
There's a concept in Latin America called time banking, where you can basically exchange your time and lend it to people for language learning or other stuff, earn credits, and then spend those credits elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And this seems like an amazingly easy place for NFTs to explode, because lots of people in, it's mechanical Turk type stuff, you can build up tokens, and as long as those tokens have utility elsewhere, you can do something really, really interesting with them. You saw the wave of Chinese prisoners earning World of Warcraft gold in the last generation of that. We see the wave of Filipino families playing a game. That's essentially time banking. So I think this is a massive area that could be exploited.
Yeah, there's a company called Effect.ai that is building up a workforce. Basically, it's like kind of mechanical Turk combined with AI tools as well. So you'll have the best of both worlds, and they're trying to do translation and other jobs as well, and they've been ramping up. So that's one form of trading your time. Yeah, but they're not doing NFTs though. So
to you out there, Michael, it seems like the answer is yes. There are multiple ways you can do that, and then also Michael Janssen, you mentioned the POAPs. They could be used in a case like this. I really did have that meeting with someone, for example, would be a really interesting thing, because oftentimes this sort of things are disputed.
I like that idea. That's a really fascinating thing. I haven't thought about that.
Made that up just now. So
I love that.
Can we tokenize that, and then they'll know it's my idea? Oh, wait, we could tokenize ideas. We could totally disrupt the patent system with NFTs, couldn't we? Anybody want to do that? Everybody should want to do that, right? So absolutely. And it would be a truly global patent system, wouldn't it? It wouldn't have this weirdness that we have today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's another line sort of in the Q&A here. I've somewhat been avoiding, just so everybody knows out there, sorry, we've had a lot of town halls about decentralized finance, so I've mostly been staying away from the DeFi stuff. We did get a bunch of questions in. I would just refer people, please, back to the previous 9 episodes of this town hall series, especially in particular, someone was asking about impermanent loss in DeFi and risk. Town Hall 6, we had Irina Litchfield, and we talked extensively about risk. in decentralized finance. So I please refer you back to Town Hall number 6. You can find that at insight.openexo.com/videos. Scroll down, search for Town Hall 6, or you can go to economy.openexo.com, scroll down, find the video hub. It's in there. So no, you should have no problem finding that. This is going to shift us back over to DAOs for a second. You know, if someone's going to build a DAO right now, what do we believe? What do you two guys believe would be the best example for emerging DAOs to model? What have you seen out there that's just like, oh, wow?
Yeah, the first one that comes to mind is what I mentioned earlier, Decentraland. Like they're one of the few successful examples out there. They went from any successful DAO is like this. It's you start centralized, you make a plan, and then you build a really non-toxic community, and then you pass on the torch to the leaders of that community in a productive way. So that's what Decentraland did, and any other community doing that, it's a win in my opinion. You don't just say, we made a DAO, what do you guys want to do? That's not going to work.
Right. Yeah, I just have to add, Decentraland, I've been in and out of there for years. It was so cool when you asked me to go look at your art gallery the other day. I was like, oh my God, a reason to log into Decentraland, right? Because like for a long time, it wasn't much to log in, and it was really hard to get in. But you know what? These days, if you have your MetaMask wallet and it's integrated in your browser, it's like 2 clicks and you're into Decentraland. So why I'm mentioning this, MetaMask is upsetting SSO, which has been dominated by the Googles and Facebooks and Microsofts of the world. I think they're doing something amazing there. And if you look at the work that's being done by Brave with their token and Brave Search, for example, these are all DAOs in a sense, right? They're a type of DAO. And I think those technologies, the way Brave is implementing search, has the potential to disrupt Google's hegemony, because I get paid every month to use the Brave browser. I've earned a significant amount of Brave tokens over time as a result. And you don't think about it while you're clicking, man, it really starts to add up. My kids actually turned me on to that. And then it turned into the best thing ever for the family, because it does a good job of moderating what I would think of as predatory advertising on younger people. Yeah. So really powerful. And that, I mentioned that as utility for me. It's utility for me as a parent in a decentralized finance space, Brave, BAT, in my, I mean, wow, right? I mean, come on, this is so ubiquitous. Like you wouldn't even know it was there. Thank you, Hal. Oh, it's great to see you. Great to see you, Hal. I haven't talked to you in a little while. Thanks for joining the show today. So let me see what I've got here. Okay, here's a fun one. The questions nobody ever likes to talk about. Vanessa has asked us, is it illegal if an NFT provides a return on investment to buyers?
I guess that depends on your jurisdiction.
Okay. That's actually more risky for the issuer than the buyer, but yes.
To buyers.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know.
Yeah. It's okay. I mean, and here, Vanessa, this is one of those places where we have to tell you, again, we're not providing you investment advice or legal advice or accounting advice, right? We're not doing that. But in most cases, if you read the literature, you'll find, and by that I mean scholarly literature about this topic, you'll find in most cases an inordinate amount of the risk is placed on the issuer, not the buyer. And this is why things like accreditation exist, but accreditation is fundamentally broken in a world of DeFi. Badly broken in DeFi, right? So anyways, that's a tricky one, and we'll have to get some lawyers and accountants and all that on here to take those questions, Vanessa, but I didn't want to skip it. So you can see these are fun things. Remember what I said at the beginning of the panel, Michael? We're all panelists and we're all facilitators. I would like to invite Salim, you and Michael to ask either of the other of us. Do you have any questions, or what do you think we should talk about next?
I have a question. Michael, how much of your time do you spend in the Discord channels of these various projects per day to keep yourself on the edge? Because you know, I've seen you at various hours go 2-hour game happening in this thing, go play it so you can collect whatever utility. And so how much of your time have you been spending, let's say over the last 6 months on average per day? Like 20, 40, 60, 80%?
Yeah, you know, that's a varied number. I do a lot of different things, and you have to lead a balanced life. But yeah, during my worst times, definitely like all my time, you know, you gotta keep up what's going on. You want to say hi to your fellow community members. Good morning. Sometimes I'll go in there and just say good morning because I can't be bothered, but at least I want my name to be showing up. Because presence is important in a community. Just like Hal showed up, he's like, "Thanks, guys," you know, that's important, and you recognize Hal for those exact reasons, I'm sure. So yeah,
you know,
the real answer is my friends spend a lot of time in these communities, and we work as a team.
Yeah,
and we all keep tabs on these things together. And the only reason I can tell you that something's going on in the middle of the night is because someone else told me that it was happening, not because I'm up watching it. Yeah.
Gotta make an AI for that.
Yeah.
Well, I hit, you know, in one of these communities, it might have been NeoTokyo, I hit the voice chat button, which is a live conversation amongst all the members who want to participate. And it was literally a 24/7 conversation where people are doing Q&A, asking questions. And it just blew my mind, the amount of sheer buzz and activity going on around that particular project, right? It's really something to go check out in the Discord channels of some of these more popular projects.
Yeah, they talk about, you know, the game itself. They talk about taxes with each other. They talk about just structure of other games. They talk about coding. Sometimes they'll just, for 2 hours, you'll just hear guys like helping each other out with like coding projects. So it's really cool how the community, they call it the Citadel, comes together and just works on different things.
And do you think the metaverse Decentraland type projects are the next natural successor to these types of environments?
Yeah, you know, I think both will always exist, but I think a lot of people would love to transition. You know, the best example that isn't an NFT or anything, but again, it's Altspace, where you can go in, build your avatar. It's all free, and you can just sort of emote in a way that is almost better than in real life. Like these avatars are maintaining eye contact with me while I'm talking to them. It's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, you could feel much more immersed. And like I've had 2-hour intimate conversations with someone a complete stranger, and like just they can use their hands and their fingers and their eyes, and it's an intimate. It's much more intimate than a voice chat. Voice chats can get pretty crazy. Also with like a spatial audio, like if someone walks away from you, their audio fades out if they keep talking. So people can be in groups and cliques in the same environment talking with each other. And if you don't like what's going on in one conversation, you can just walk over to the next circle of people that are talking about a different topic. So it's really great for conference type of. Did
Decentraland implement spatial audio? I don't know.
I don't think so yet. Okay. Decentraland has ways to go with audio.
Got it.
Yeah.
Audio.
Go ahead.
It turns out audio's as or more important than video in most cases. It's certainly amazing. Yeah.
Certainly, yeah.
Okay, you were going to say?
I was going to say that Altspace is like where I hope some of these metaverses go as far as like the quality and everything they got going on. It's just the organization, creating events, building worlds, and connecting with people is just so organized. You can just go to the events page and you can find a myriad, like you want to go to comedy night or do you want to share your music or AA meetings, you name it. There's all sorts of different things going on in Altspace. And I think Decentraland is going to become something like that. A little birdie told me that they're going to be enabling VR in Decentraland. And I think once that happens, it's really going to change the game in a big way. Yeah.
I'm also excited to see when some of these things come into augmented reality. And if you put on the right goggles or glasses, we were just hearing some advances about the company out of Miami, Salim, in terms of the work that they're doing on the AR. And all these worlds are going to merge. Gentlemen, we're coming down to the last few minutes. First and foremost, Michael, I want to thank you so much for being here with us today and for sharing your insights and your really unique experiences with our community. Really grateful for that. Salim, thank you for being here today and all the stuff that you do in ExO. I heard little birdie told me you've got another book coming out soon called Exponential Organizations V2. And I'm bringing it up here, and he's shaking his head because I'm doing this because I know he wants me to tell him to finish it. But no, yeah, it's going to be amazing. It's like 70% new content.
You know, people have been asking for an update for years, and I get like hives because the emotional trauma of writing the book the first time around. By the way, Michael is the most famous for doing the brain diagram in the first book, and a lot of the charts, etc.
That's right.
So Michael will get you to stick your oar in somewhere in this new book.
Well, guys, I've been asked by the community over and over and over, is there going to be any NFT associated with the book? And I'm just like,
well, I think this is a great question. Right? Michael, if just off the top of your head, what would you do as an NFT strategy for the book that's coming out?
Oh, you know, I definitely make like a metaverse, and then you guys all go in there, and we do like book reading sessions together. No, I'm just kind of kidding, but make it fun. Make it fun. We were talking about before about like the mascots, like the lizards and stuff. Like, do something that's like cool. People can connect with. You want people to relate with their NFT in some way. So I just want to see like a bunch of like animated Salims that are really cute or something like that.
One of our community members generated a bunch of crypto art, and one of them was Salim. I saw it with my own eyes, and it exists. It hasn't been turned into an NFT yet, but these things actually exist. One of our guys was really keen on that particular idea, so love it. Awesome. Any other last words, Michael? You're the specialist guest, so any other last words before I start to take us out?
Yeah, I was sharing that generative art stuff. If anyone wants to play around with that stuff, we're making it more and more available as we roll it out. So that's, I don't know if you guys can bring up the link I put in the private chat. It's like that Discord. Put up the whole mess.
There it is.
So yeah, check out that Discord, and that's where you can mess around with it a little bit. And we're going to be evolving over the coming weeks and months. So.
Michael, you mentioned Tokenly early on in our conversation today as well. Did you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, this is actually related directly with Tokenly.
Got it.
We spun off this company called Pixelmine, which is an experimental generative art company. So think of it like an Adobe suite, but for generative art tools that will be opening up for people.
I think I joined the Discord and I'm stuck in the lobby right now. But okay. So listen, everybody, we're going to start to wrap this. We did a lot today. We covered a lot of ground. We covered NFTs. We covered DAOs. We covered books that are coming out. You got to meet Michael, who's the guy who did the very famous brain diagram in the first Exponential Organizations book. We went through some of the legalities and regulatory questions that always come up about and around crypto. We've talked about different NFT marketplaces. We dove into what is an NFT really. Oh my gosh. I mean, we covered a lot of ground today. Just remember, everybody, this week we record and replay over at economy.exoworld.live. I'm sorry, economy.openexo.com and insight.openexo.com. You will be able to find the replays. And with that, I'm going to say thank you one last time to Michael and to Celine for being here. I'm going to bring Nikki back on, hand the baton over, and I'm going to get out of here. This was fantastic fun. Thank you so much, guys.
Bye, guys.
Where are you, Nikki?
There you are. Here I am. Wow, Nikki, wow.
Wait, though, one last round of thanks. Nikki, you and all the team that pulled these town halls off. Nobody sees it behind the scenes, but there is so much going on. Yeah. There are several people pushing buttons, doing things, moving things, feeding questions, listening to the audience. Thank you so much for that. Don't forget to do the credit roll, and thank everybody else out there, Jillian and Roberto and Kevin, and I know I'm missing things. So thank you to all of you for making this real and making it happen, and all the things you do. So I really want to say that on my way out. And thank you, Nikki. Over to you.
No, I appreciate it. And I appreciate everybody showing up. This was a wow conversation. I thought Friday was good. I've watched it 5 times. I think this one I have to go to double that. So we'll be doubling our efforts in getting this back to you in clips that you can consume. And I just want to thank the whole team. I mean, Jillian and Rodrigo here working in the back end on this live cast. The questions from the audience, my ExO angels. I've got Eric and Vanessa and Angelo and Angela and Pratik and so many people in the background. And I just can't name everybody, but it does truly take a village. And so I appreciate everything. I hope you join us at openexo.com and join our social media tags, and just basically subscribe where you can, whatever your consumption is, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. We've got a help desk at Discord, and then we've got a conversation thread at Telegram. So join us where you can, and we look forward to seeing you, and be exponential.